Okay, so interviewing an African chief. So I guess we'll just jump straight into the questions. So can I call you by your first name? Is that okay, or do you want to keep it private?
You can just say chief.
Okay, chief. So what is the history of this chieftaincy?
Right. This chieftaincy in parts of the world, and especially in Ghana where I come from, even in Ghana, we've got different processes of chieftaincy depending on where you come from. So the process by which chiefs are installed in Accra is possibly different from chiefs installed in Kumasi. I come from the north, but installed as a Fra Fra chief in Kumasi. And how we do it in Kumasi is relatively different from how we do it in Bolgatanga or in the north.
Yes.
So, in order to address your question, the chieftaincy, the Fra Fra chieftaincy in Kumasi, you normally have the paramount chief who oversees all the people from
so a head chief.
Head chief, that's correct.
Yes.
And they are installed by the Otumfo, which is the Ashanti king.
Ah, I've heard of Ashanti.
Yes. Now, those of us who are sub-chiefs,
yes,
are either installed by the local Ashanti chief in the area or the Fra Fra chief or the tribal chief, head chief, which is called the paramount chief.
Yes.
Those are the two ways.
Yes. So
my installment was through the paramount chief of the Tafo traditional area.
Yes.
He's a paramount chief, and he's a right-hand man of the Ashanti king.
See, leads on to my next question, actually,
Right.
which is, what does it mean to be the custodian of your people's traditions? So even the election process is like the chief process is your traditions, isn't
yes,
it?
it is elected. That means you have people who have the right to become a chief.
Yes.
It's not just anybody who can say, I want to be a chief. So mostly throughout Ghana, we've got people who can be installed as chief. And sometimes they may be one family, they could be relatives or different homes. When I say homes, I mean, we call them gates.
Yes.
So there are chiefs where if a chief comes from this gate, and in the passing of that chief, it is the turn of another gate. And
yes.
depending on the number of gates, they have to go round until it comes back to it goes round again.
So does it like go around families? Or
families, that's what it is.
Going around in like a circle.
Almost say gate will mean ancestry, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I understand.
And there are some, the family is only one.
Yes.
So if the chief passes, it is a brother or
a
relative of that.
Then it will go to the next gate.
That's right.
Yes. Oh, wow.
So for my chieftaincy, it's people who come from the north, genuine traditional people who have got a history of rule.
Yes.
They compete.
That's similar in Europe.
So yes. So we can have a certain number of people. There is a family that will say, well, if Peter is standing, then I give my support to Peter, so that they don't contest.
Yes. Yes.
And
so there's no arguments,
that's
no
it.
fighting.
And through me, yes, other people had to support me, even though they could compete. They decided if I was competing, then they are behind me.
Because they know they're going to be next, or 3 times they'll be next. That makes a lot of sense.
So
See, that is how people start fighting. So that's a nice way. I can see why that tradition evolved.
Yes.
So that's actually answered the next question. How was the selection process for your position? So then the next question I have is: has your leadership style changed since you took office?
Right.
Like
I'll deal with the first one.
Yes.
Mine, I had to compete with 4 other people.
Yes.
2 of them decided that they would give their support to me. The third one decided that they will compete against me.
Ah.
So what we had
So
to
they
do is see
have a
the
choice.
elders and also summoned by the Zongo chief, who is the person who actually
Makes a decision.
makes a decision on who he
Yes.
thinks should be installed and
Yes.
present to the paramount chief. But it was so complicated that even with the Zongo chief, there was still controversy
Wow.
because the paramount chief of my traditional area preferred my opponent.
Yes.
The people preferred me, the electorate, the people.
Yes.
So we had to go to the Ashanti paramount chief, which is Naneta Fuhine. And he said everybody should come with their people. And when we went, majority of the people were on my side.
Yes.
And he asked, based on the presentation that we have, if you look at all the women are on my side,
Yes.
and you cannot have a house that you rule without a woman present.
Ah, yes.
And then the other one, they said, where are your women?
Aha, yes. Yeah. It's the ladies in charge.
Exactly.
In every culture.
Then he looked at it and said, look at the elders of the community. They are all on my side.
Yes.
Where are the elders on your side?
Yes. So we didn't have
So
to,
it made it easy because he was able to see physically, and it was there for everybody to say, this person.
And I guess that's why he's the Zunga.
That's
Did I
right.
say that right?
Yes.
He took it as a small.
And then they looked
I
at
like that.
the caliber, of personality.
Yeah, almost like so he's checking who the witnesses are.
Exactly, yeah.
Of course.
And then they looked at me
You do that
as,
in court here.
somebody who has networks,
Yes.
who has traveled,
Yes.
who
Experience.
yes,
Yeah, you lived
experience,
in Europe.
yes, and who has got a history because my dad he refused to be a chief, but he was ruling everything.
Yes. Ah, yes.
And
Even though he refused.
he didn't
to-
have any history.
Yes.
So based on all
Still
those
he was in
things,
charge.
they decided that no, I should be the chief.
Wow.
So that was the election process.
Well, that's really interesting. That surprised me. And it's
There is
very
a second
interesting.
bit that you followed. You said after that.
Yeah, has your leadership style changed since you took office?
I will say yes. Yes,
How?
because the world is a dynamic place.
Yes.
So how they did things before
Was
cannot
before
continue.
computers.
Yes, before computers, before even the democratic governance has changed.
Yes.
When my parents and my ancestors were ruling, we had the chieftaincy culture. It is about culture and history.
Yes.
Now, if you want to follow the culture and history alone, you will be in the dark ages
Ah.
because people could take somebody's daughter, for example, and say, we've married her.
Yes.
And the police and government, the law didn't actually address that properly because it was tradition.
Yes.
The only thing is that the elders will come together and say, well, if somebody has taken your daughter and they are willing to marry her, well, then perform the customary rites.
Yes.
But today people have choices. You can't take somebody's daughter.
Yes.
Just because you have power,
Yes.
you have
can't
married
just,
her.
you can't just pay a bride price.
It's a
and
bride
that's
price
enough.
and then that's it.
Now people have
People
a
have
choice.
got rights.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I had to incorporate all those things.
Yes. People have a choice. Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
And in those days, you could marry a minor, for example.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, because the people are hungry. They feel if their daughter gets married, they may get something.
Yes.
Well, today you cannot do that.
Yes.
There are legal protections for minor young girls.
Yes.
So yes, my leadership style has changed because I've got to incorporate all these things.
Of course. So the new laws, the new government, the new technology,
That's right.
all sorts. Of course. Oh,
Correct.
wow. How interesting. So the next question, please, is what are the most significant challenges that your community faces today? For some ideas, I know I've interrupted, but maybe regarding health, education, infrastructure, or whatever you think are the most significant challenges.
Correct.
You're the chief.
There are significant challenges.
Yes.
I can say one of the forefront of those is what I was talking about, the giving out minors into marriage.
Ah, yes.
The girls are not mature enough to know what they're actually
So
getting
that's
into.
still a challenge today.
It is a challenge because change is a difficult thing to do
Yes.
because people
I
prefer
see.
to do
I
what they
see.
normally do.
So they've changed the laws sort of recently, and then people
Exactly. People find it
normal
difficult.
people,
And they feel,
yes.
no, we cannot go through that because it's
Yes.
our tradition to
and
do
they
this.
feel it's against their tradition. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So those are some of the challenges.
Yes.
The other thing is divorce rates have
Oh.
really gone high.
Well, that's the same in Europe, sadly.
Exactly.
Because you make your marriage vows, and as I was saying to you earlier, you
That's
say
right.
through sickness and health forever and ever. You know, it's whatever vows you make. That's the point of it.
That's right.
So why do people get divorced even in
So
England?
my mother stayed with my dad until he passed away, and then she passed away in the same family.
Yes.
But I've got even my sisters who cannot stay in men's houses because they have got certain rights. They can't live. Well, in the olden days, if there were issues, the traditional people came together
Yes.
and sorted it out.
Yes.
Today, it is the courts
Mm.
that sort
See.
things out.
So almost like the law has taken the tradition away.
Exactly. So there is
People
an
have their
imbalance
own law.
between the tradition and the law.
There's
And even up to now, people are still confused as to whether they should go
And
through.
that's why that's a major challenge.
That's
That makes
it.
perfect sense. I thank you for explaining that.
Mm.
Of course, I never knew any of that.
Right.
And what about like health? Health-wise, are there challenges for your community and
Yes.
infrastructure and education?
I'm very lucky to be between the past and the future.
Yes.
The reason why I'm saying that is, in the past, people were even scared to take their wives to the hospital for delivery
Ah,
because they are afraid
different medicine. White
they
people's
didn't
medicine,
like
perhaps.
the-
Forgive my...
the white medicine
Yes.
or the conventional medicine.
Yes.
They were afraid that people will swap their children
Oh,
for other children.
it happened in some countries.
Exactly.
Spain and
So
England and...
yeah, maybe it didn't happen, but it's in the
Maybe.
minds of the people.
Yes, it's in
That
my
somebody's
mind that it
child could
happened.
die and then they swap and give their life child
Yes.
to another person because they have
But
money.
it did happen in America. They sold Spanish
In
babies
Africa,
to America.
I won't say it happens, but
But
that is the mindset.
yes.
So
Wow.
even up to today, people prefer their wives to give birth at home
Ah,
so that they know this is the child, whether it has lived or not.
lots of people in England prefer that now.
Right.
They call it a natural birth,
Right.
and the doctors will say it's dangerous.
Now,
often.
it is dangerous
But it
because
could-
when there are complications,
Yes.
then they don't know what to do.
Yes.
And then they go to the hospital
Yes.
in the end, and whether they survive or not, that time factor
Yes.
is very
And
important.
of course, it could be an hour drive, 2 hours drive,
Exactly.
3 hours drive.
Yes.
Wow.
So that is for the women. And in terms of health-wise, there are a lot of diseases in Africa.
Yes.
Now, some people may feel that the more resistant you are to
Yes.
diseases, because in Africa mostly it's self-immunization.
Yes.
So
So maybe
I give an example of
expose yourself to the illness.
yeah,
and
I
build
give
a
an example to
resilience.
measles.
Yes.
When I was born,
Oh, I had the same in England. When my sister got measles, my mum put me in bed with her so that I caught it as well. I had
exactly that's what
the
we
same,
do.
and chickenpox.
And chickenpox. Because if you survived it, then you will not get it again.
Yes.
So sometimes there is
Yes.
a difficulty
Yeah, but now
about
they give
modern
you an
immunization. Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Yeah. So no, I think you understand me very perfectly.
I do. Yeah, it's so
And
interesting.
these challenges, you can imagine what happened here maybe
They're the same
15 years
challenges
ago
we
is
face.
happening in Africa now.
Ah, yes.
So it's about
Yeah.
evolution.
So
It's
little
about,
bit-
yeah.
So it's an advantage to you that you've lived in England, and so you're a little ahead in a way of the challenges
right.
that Africa face.
Yes,
So that's a good, makes you a better chief then.
that's right.
Experience.
I had my granddad came to, he had hernia.
Yes, hernia, yes.
And he came to my mom and dad because we were in Kumasi and the health facilities were much better. You could have an operation on hernia in Kumasi. In the north, we didn't even have the medical centers to be able to carry out these processes.
Ah, yes.
And a lot of people died through that.
Yes.
Because of the health facilities.
Yes.
So in terms of health, there is not by the people, but because the governments are not able to provide all these health facilities at the point of need.
Yes.
It becomes a difficulty for almost everybody, children, women, and adults.
Yes. Oh, surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the next question, sort of changing the subject, how do you resolve local conflicts or land disputes using traditional laws or customs?
Yeah. As I said, in various parts of the country, they have different jurisdictions. In Ghana, for example, in the southern areas, the chiefs are the custodians of the people and the land. So the chief gives you a portion of land. If you wanted land, you go to see the chief.
So if you become a chief, you get the land.
You get the land, and then you automatically.
Then you share it to.
And then you share
fix
it to people.
The problems.
Yes. So if a government came to build a health facility or a school or whatever it is, they will go to the chief.
Wow.
In the north, you go to the landlord. So we have two
almost
jurisdictions.
European. That sounds a
so
European.
There is a chief
yes.
who is looking after the people, and the landlord, in my area we call them tindamas.
Yes.
They are custodians of the land.
Yes.
So if there is an issue with the land or there is an appeasement to pray to the gods, it is not the chief that does it, it is the landlord that does it.
Yes.
And the landlord gives land out.
Yes.
In the south, the chief.
But then the chief is approaching the landlord.
The chief will have to approach it, so they work together.
Yes.
But they have different roles.
And then the government. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah.
Then the government is also giving out the land certificate. So
the government gives the land certificate.
Yes.
So if you want a land, and whether it is the chief or the landlord that gives the land, first they have to consult the landowner. And the landowner is the one who farms on that land.
Yes.
They have to say, I have given this land to this person for this purpose.
To build a hospital.
Then they go to the landlord, and the landlord endorses, yes, you are from this family, and you are actually a custodian of that land.
Yes.
So based on that, I endorse.
Yes.
That person can have that.
Then land. You go to the government. And
then you go to the government and you get a lease.
A lease. So
and the
for
lease
a time,
is normally
100 years.
100
in
years.
England, they do freehold 99 years.
It is exactly the same. We follow the English law, so
Gosh.
It's 99 years.
I'm surprised.
Yes.
I mean, that actually leads on to the next question, Mr. Chief, which is: in what ways do you advocate for your people's needs when communicating with modern government?
In many ways.
So how do you explain to the government for your people?
In many ways. The government might come and say, we want to build a school or a market.
Yes.
And we want a piece of land to do this.
Yes.
It is your responsibility as the chief to be able to identify the stakeholders and speak to them. We need these facilities.
Yes.
Because of these reasons.
Yes.
And when you convince them, because if you do things on your own, it's not going to work. You've got to involve the stakeholders.
Yes.
And when you come to an agreement, then you can go ahead and let that facility or development come.
Yes.
So
that's like a haggling process.
Exactly.
It's quite political how you explain that. I like that.
And there are some communities that probably prohibit certain things happening in their land.
Maybe they want to keep their traditions or they want to keep their land.
Yes. So you have to be able to advocate. You have to be able to convince people. And as I said earlier, change is a very
Yes,
difficult
I was
thing.
just going to say, yeah, maybe you have to explain to people that this change is good.
That's right.
Well, when they're thinking it's bad,
Yes.
or maybe you have to explain to people that this change is bad.
Let me give you an example.
Yes, please.
Especially when it comes to religion.
Yes.
Traditionally, Africans believe in African tradition, and they pour libation and all those things.
Yes.
They have soothsayers. They have different kind of things.
I've never heard of these things.
So if somebody came to build a mosque or a church,
yes.
Now the fear is that they are going to take our children into a different culture.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And there will be resistance.
And of course, and they should have the traditional food, the traditional language.
Exactly.
They should carry on their family,
yes.
not be
exactly
and turned into a new culture.
Exactly. So
that's a problem facing the whole
world.
That's
a problem.
Yes.
So you've got to be able to say, no, it isn't that. Ghana practices freedom of religion, for example.
Yes.
So you would not say, because you have to advocate and say, we need to coexist. And people have to have choices. And if somebody says, well, I want to be a Christian, they should be able to practice that. If somebody says, I want to be a Muslim, they should be able to practice that.
Well, I'm not sure I'd have the patience to be a chief. Knowing all of this now.
And then even down to people's quarrels.
Yes.
In this country, if you have a problem with your wife or partner,
yes,
you go to
a lawyer or a family member. Maybe initially you might go to the sister or a mother or your own brother or family.
Well, that is what happens in Africa, but here you go for counseling.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
And it is just between the two of you.
Yes.
Well, where I come from, it is not just the two, but the community.
Yes. So it involves.
So you have to involve elders.
Counseling.
Yes.
Do you involve the young people with that? Maybe children. With counseling, or?
No, you can't involve. In fact, in Ghana in particular, and where I come from, normally when it comes to dispute resolution, it is adults.
Yes.
Mature people.
Yes.
Elders.
Yes.
Opinion leaders.
People with experience.
With experience. And sometimes you can have a council, like I have a council.
Yes. Yes.
And
are they like advisors to you?
They are advisors.
How many? I'm interrupting
you. Like I said, every traditional area has got the way they assemble their
yes.
Leaders, or their council, or the council of elders.
Yes.
So where I come from, the Fra Fra community, we have three main groups. They call them the Gurusis, the Tanesis, and the Nabdans.
Yes. I've heard of the Gurusis.
That's right, we are the Gurusis, for example.
Yes.
So what happens is that you've got to have representatives of all three.
Yes.
Even now, sometimes we talk about four because there are others, we call them the bosses.
Yes.
These people have got to have elders within your council.
Yes.
So that if it is one tribe, at least they know that they are represented and that person is after their interest.
Yes.
So you, the chief, oversees all these people and they become advisors to you.
Yes.
Because one area may be doing things differently from the other area.
Yes.
So if I want to resolve it in the Grusi way, it might not work.
Yes.
So I've got to consult.
It won't fit in with one of the other ways.
Exactly. And it's really fantastic because if you're able to have good representatives, the reason why I'm able to sit in the UK or travel abroad is because I've got able people who will do exactly what I would have done.
Yes.
And that if I were to take any decision, it would have been
can
trust.
You can
exactly.
You know that you can trust these people.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's how we resolve issues. And they say things as is, and they refer to history, they refer to culture, to be able to address the present.
Yes, I'm like a bit shell shocked because I'm like, I never thought it would be so in depth.
It is.
I never thought it would be so complicated and complex.
Well, if you go through,
I mean, how far is it going back? Thousands of years.
Thousands of years. But then, as we said earlier, you've got to incorporate modern trends.
Yes. Yes, of course. Yeah, a new thing comes out and we find out this thing's bad for us. You've got to stop doing it.
For example, I mean,
Advocate
we have
for
NGOs
change.
working in Ghana now,
Yes.
and then you have for example, World Vision.
Yes.
That has to do with the welfare of the people in terms of providing water and health and all those things.
Yes.
You have Water Aid, which is from the UK.
Oh yes, yeah. They've gone really big. A lot of the streamers were giving money to Water Aid. I show speed. It's really popular.
You have Marie Curie.
Yes, she's been around a long time.
Yeah, exactly. We have these, and they advocate for either communities without certain basic.
Oh, I'd like to work for those
necessities. We have NGOs that look after the welfare of young people, the girl child.
Yes.
For example.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's every
so
country
they fight things like teenage pregnancies and marriages and things like that.
Yes.
And the government has taken this into law.
Yes.
So if you, for example, impregnated a minor, you will face the law.
Yes.
Traditionally, it might be fine.
Yes. The same thing happened to me. My mum was 14 when she gave birth to me in 1979, and my father didn't face the law, but he was 14 as well.
Yes.
But they had to leave school, and my father had to get a job as a butcher, and my mum had to leave school as well, and she never finished her education.
So these are happening in Africa.
But nowadays, you go jail.
Yes, that's right. So those are some of the things. So I've got to be abreast with modern trends.
Yes.
And to link it with tradition.
Yes.
And where we feel that it is not right, what we used to do, you've got to be able to convince the people that it was wrong.
Yes.
It doesn't mean we should carry on doing the wrong thing.
I guess sort of show them and maybe show them on a phone, on the internet.
Exactly.
Show them the studies.
And the Constitution also provides for tradition and history. So sometimes you have to look at that and then balance what the law says.
Yes.
And what history and culture says. And you look at the middle.
Yes.
Now, I think in anything that you do, especially as a chief, you've got to be honest.
Yes.
You've got to be truthful. Otherwise, you will not go. You may rule as a chief, but it will be a waste.
You won't survive.
Yeah, you won't survive it because you've got to be honest.
Yes.
And that is what I pray for all the time, and I try to let my counsel.
Yes. Follow that example.
Yes.
So you're leading by example.
Exactly.
And it does say in the Bible, which is a saying I've always loved. I'm not particularly religious myself, but the Bible says the truth will set you free.
Absolutely.
And it is something I've always.
The thing is, if you follow the truth, you don't have to do anything differently.
And it saves time.
But if you lie and you take sides, and
then you have to change direction.
All the time you have to change, and then you will go astray yourself.
Yes. It's something.
But if you follow the truth, the truth is the truth.
Something I've always felt in my heart.
And that's what it is.
That's the only way I can, and that's the same in Africa. Yeah.
Yes.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, what a lovely interview. And so there's just a couple more questions, Chief.
Yeah.
What role does indigenous knowledge play in managing natural resources like land, water, or forests? And you've partly answered it.
That's very
with
true.
The chief's job, the government's job, how people, NGOs work together. Yes. You've partly answered it.
You see, let me deviate a little bit and talk about climate change.
Yes.
When we sit here in the UK or any part of the world apart from Africa or Ghana in particular, we can decide what we mean by climate change.
Yes.
But when you are on the ground and you see, when I was growing up, places that were wetlands never dried. It's so dry that people are building houses on them now.
Gosh, yes.
So, like you mentioned, you've got to look at history, you've got to look at culture.
Yes.
How did our ancestors maintain the ecosystem?
Yes. Adobe bricks, which are banned.
You know? Yes. Because there were some areas that were sacred.
Yes.
And they may tell you it is sacred.
And that's why.
But maybe they know a reason why they call it sacred. Because if they told you otherwise, you would say, well then.
Because if you drain that swamp, you're going to ruin this city.
You see? Yeah? And that is both culture and history.
Yes.
That there was a way they maintained
and that's indigenous
certain things,
knowledge,
the system.
So Science.
These days we throw that off the.
Yes. Yeah, we ignore the indigenous
Yeah, yeah.
knowledge and we just go for
Ah,
the
well,
profit
I can
and we-
do this, you know,
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
the difficulty.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
And we have certain things that need to be done.
Yes.
For example, modernization.
Yes. Hospitals,
Schools,
roads,
roads.
trains, maybe.
So if you said this is a forest that's reserved and we don't want a road to go through because it may disturb the ancestral system,
Yes.
then you will stay behind because how can you get developed that way?
Yes.
So still, like I said, it's always about getting the stakeholders together.
Yes.
And sometimes
and finding a middle path.
Middle path, and sometimes it's about pouring libation. Do you know what libation is?
No.
You give sacrifices to the gods. We know we are not supposed to touch this.
Yes.
But this is going to be good for your future, for your grandchildren and great grandchildren.
So the indigenous.
So we will slaughter a cow or
Yes.
something to appease the gods, so a road can go through.
And again, it's about changing paths.
Exactly.
And
So
making people comfortable.
exactly.
Feel safe.
Yes.
And
So-
we can eat the beef.
But I always feel that there's always a solution to something.
Mm.
But how to get that solution is the problem.
Yes. Yes. Oh, how interesting.
You know.
And it kind of, I mean, and that's the end of my questions, really. Well, no, I have one more question,
Yeah.
or two more, because I have a personal question.
Mm.
How are you preparing the younger generation to carry on your values and traditions? Because we shouldn't lose our traditions
You're right.
to the law,
You're
or
right.
to the government, or to the businesses, or to, I don't know, maybe that's my opinion.
Yes. One of the things, because it's personal, I also give you a personal answer.
Thank you.
My dad gave birth to us in the Ashanti region,
Yes.
and they speak Twi.
Yes.
And then, because we are Zongo people, we also speak Hausa, which is a language that's spoken throughout West Africa,
Yes.
originally from Nigeria.
Ah, yes. Neighbours.
Neighbors. So I speak Ashanti,
Ah, yes.
Twi,
Yes.
I speak Hausa,
Yes.
then I speak my local language, Fra Fra.
Wow.
The reason
And
being
English?
that because the ear listens to all these things and it's so easy to pick them up. So when I tried to speak
Yes.
to learn French in secondary school, it was very easy
Ah, wow.
because I already had the ear
Wow.
for languages.
Yes.
And then when I was studying at university here, I went to do my European studies, Erasmus studies
Yes.
in Germany, and I learned Germany. So I speak French, German, and then a lot of African
Wow.
languages because of the beginning.
Yes. So,
You see.
do you speak more than 7 languages?
I speak more than 7
They
languages.
tell us in England that 7 is a limit. You speak more than 7.
I speak more than
that's nice
7
to know. Wow.
because I speak languages from Liberia,
Gosh.
from Sierra Leone, South
Yes.
Africa.
Oh.
I speak a bit of Zulu.
Wow.
Yes. And it's all because my ears were trained from infancy.
Yes. So you can
And
learn it
so it's
fast.
so easy. And I speak to people, I switch from German to French and to Ghanaian languages. And
Yes.
how do you do that? People ask me.
Yeah,
I
you
said,
just.
it's so easy,
How interesting.
you know.
And so, is there a way that you prepare younger people to carry things on in your?
So
in your
I was
culture
just
and
using that
culture?
as a base to say that for my example, when I said we were born in Kumasi and we speak Twi, my parents spoke Fra Fra to us.
Yes.
So even in Kumasi, we spoke Fra Fra at home. You go out and you speak Hausa and Twi to your friends. So it is always good. Language is very, very important to maintain your language.
Yes, for your culture.
For
Yes.
the culture. Without language, you find it difficult to understand the culture.
Yes.
So
Of
I go
course.
to the north, and then my grandparents
Oh, what a beautiful answer.
are telling me things, and if I didn't understand the language,
Yes.
I wouldn't understand what they
Yes.
mean. So I learned a lot about the past
Yes.
from my grandparents because I could speak the language and understand it.
Mm.
And I think we should do the same thing, that whatever we do, we should not forget to teach our children our language and culture.
Yes. Oh, that's a
The
beautiful answer.
second thing is that because of knowledge, we need to encourage our children to go to school.
Yes. Education.
Education, very, very important.
Yes.
even if you don't excel yourself, your children may be able to come and make a difference in your community's development.
Yes.
And it is through education.
Yes. Yes. So even then, the children are not listening to in the chief matters.
Yeah.
The children are seen.
So
as
they
the
see
future.
what I'm doing.
The children are the future in your role as a chief.
Exactly. They see what I'm doing based on what I've learned from my parents and
Yes.
my ancestors.
Yes, of course.
And they are able to
We're
also
all children one day.
reflect on what they have also learned.
Yes. Reflect. Yes.
You know, yes.
That's
And based on that, because knowledge is power, based on that they can find solutions. Local solutions and dignity solutions.
Yes.
Based on the knowledge, the wide knowledge that they've got.
Yes. Wow. Oh, I'm amazed at that. That's a beautiful answer. I really, really like that. I do.
Yeah.
And then just to finish, I'd just like to ask you just a question about how do they view ghosts in Ghana? Do they exist? Is there such a thing as a ghost?
Ghost. Then we are delving into spirituality.
Yes.
And you may say there are ghosts, and I may say I don't believe so.
Ah, yes.
And it is a complicated subject.
Yes.
Even today, as we speak, there are people, even in this country, who are seers.
Yes.
Who can
yes.
tell us that
They
something
do
is
tarot
going to happen.
cards, they do
Tarot
yes.
and
Oh,
all
there's
those
so
things.
many on YouTube.
But I don't know if I'm told something, I may believe it or not believe it based on my my position.
Yes. The seers in this country, they say if it resonates, if you believe it, believe it. If not, let it go.
Exactly. You know, I'm a
That's
Christian.
a nice answer as well.
Yeah, I'm a Christian. But why am I not a Muslim or maybe a non-believer?
Yes.
It is because of choice.
Yes.
But personally, the answer I can give you is that if something has got a name,
Yes.
then it probably exists.
Yes. That's a beautiful answer. Well, thank you so much. We'll finish the interview. Thank you, Chief. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
you.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Legend.